This video was inspired by a user of AdapTable, our AG Grid extension, who wanted to know two things. One, whether it was possible to create a number of different styles, full row styles with different colours, based on whatever criteria he wanted, but also for his runtime users to be able to filter the grid using that same criteria. So essentially to create a number of different styles and then filter the grid so that each of those styles alone is viewed. And that is possible in AdapTable, and it's done through a layer of indirection called named queries, which we're going to look at in this video. So first, let's have a look at the code, and we will see that in our initial state, we created these three named queries: frequently used, occasional usage, and rarely used. And each one is an expression on the name column that creates a number of different frameworks. We also then use that in three format columns using this query keyword. That's the key. That's how you reuse a named query. So we have three format columns, each for one of the named queries we created: frequently used, occasional usage, and rarely used, and each with different styles. So that's what you see here. They're the three format columns. And the other thing we did is in AdapTable Ready, we created some custom toolbar buttons. We created one button for each named query. And then we again reused the query keyword to say we were going to run a grid filter on that named query. And then finally, we also created a column menu option and a context menu option. So now if we see that in action, if I click on this here, this calls the frequently used named query, which we then filter on, and that's why we only see the formatted rows to match, or occasional usage. Obviously I can clear and I can run. And then if you want to see what's happening, in fact, if we go into the dashboard and we go into toolbars and we add the grid filter toolbar, we will see that happen. So if I run rarely used, you can see we're doing a query on rarely used, etc., etc. And the same thing happens in the custom menu options we created. So in the column menu, we created the ability to filter by any of these. And in the context menu, we made it more context sensitive. So you can filter by the type of row you are on. So here it's by rarely used. But the real power of named queries is that it doesn't just allow design time users to do this, but in fact runtime users can as well. So if we hide the code and let's have a look at the named queries. So these are the three named queries we created: frequently used, occasional usage, and rarely used. And we can see that there's three rows: backbone, Gatsby, and knockout, that don't have a named query. So let's add one for those three here. So we'll create a new named query. We can do it in the expression editor and use all the functions that AdapTable provides, or obviously you can add your own. But for something as simple as this, the visual query builder is easier because we can just create a condition. We can say name, we can say in, and then we can add those three items. So it's backbone, knockout, and Gatsby. So there we are. That's our new named query. Let's give it a name. Let's call it, oops, I'm in Hebrew. Let's call it demo. And now we can see, in fact, the demo's already been added. So in fact, I can now run on demo and I can run a filter on that named query. What I haven't done is I haven't added a format column for that. So let's do that next. Here are the three format columns we previously created. So let's create a fourth. We want it to be all columns because it's a whole row. And we want a condition. I could write the condition, but in fact, as a nice shortcut, all named queries are listed here. So I just need to drag demo into there. It already creates it a query of demo. And now let's build a style. So let's do blue. Let's do black. And as soon as I click finish, you should see that these three rows will immediately take up that style. There we are, they do that. And now when I filter on them, obviously I see the style as well. But also I can go a step further because it's all live. So let's imagine I say Angular is going to come out of that group and I'm going to put it in my team. So I go back to my named query, and in fact I now edit this one. I'll take Angular out. So now as soon as I click finish, Angular should go black here because it doesn't have a style, because it's not in a named query. And now if I add it to my demo one, now when I click finish, it will go blue because it's in there. And there we are. So essentially we've created the ability to have as many formats as we want. For each format we can also run a filter on that, and the way we do it is by creating a named query which both the conditional style and the grid filter are using. So when I click occasional usage, you can see that the conditional style for it is here, and we've filtered on it here. So there we are. I hope that was useful. If you'd like to know more about AdapTable, please get in touch. We'll be delighted either to give you a personalised one-to-one demo or speak to you and tell you about what we offer. Thank you for watching.